Minasan konnichiwa, and welcome back to the Board Game Dojo's 2023 Holiday Gift Guide, where we're going to get you over 50 unique game options to get this holiday season and hopefully make it a success. Now, to help you do this, we have imposed 2 rules on ourselves to be most helpful to you. The first rule is that it has to be accessible. It has to be available, and if it's an imported game, it better be available and able to get to you by the holiday season. And the second one is that it can't be ridiculously expensive to acquire. And what we mean by that is we're not going to give you a game today that's $50 and the import fee is an extra $100. That just kind of defeats the purpose. Now, luckily, compared to last year's holiday gift guide, this year that's a lot easier to follow because A, more game stores just have an imported game section to begin with, and B, a lot of game stores that already had an imported section have expanded that selection, including stores like our sponsor for this series, travelgames.co.uk. Not only do they have travel games to make excellent stocking stuffers, as the name implies, but because they are a co-host of the Board Game Dojo podcast and I work for them as a translator, they are the first and often only place to get positively reviewed games that we have on this channel, as well as other really hard to acquire board games from Asia. They didn't get to pick anything that is on this list, but if they happen to carry something that we have on this list, we'll put links to that below. We don't get any payment for that. We just thought it would be helpful. So with that, let's get started on part 3 of our holiday board game gift guide. Our next section is going to be games that are between $51 and $100, which for us is quite a bit of money. If you're new to the Board Game Dojo or just haven't watched many of our videos, that's one of the things that we are really picky about is how much a game costs and if it's worth that amount of money. And our holiday board game gift guide is no different. When we are looking at games to put in this section of our video, we are looking for games that provide an experience unlike something that you can get lower price. These may not be the best games in the world, but they certainly offer something that's going to make for a unique gift that you cannot get for something like $20. And that starts right away with our 2-player import recommendation, Zen Tiles. Zen Tiles is a storytelling, almost meditation style game that you are going to be trying to guess each other's emotions. You'll be picking one of these lovingly crafted Zen style rocks, and each one of them will have an emotion on it. Whichever player is the storyteller will tell about a time or a sentence in which they felt that emotion, but they cannot use that word in their sentence, and the other player will then need to guess that emotion. I really found that this game works really well when you kind of put aside the fact that it's a game and use it as an activity to get to know your partner really well. And it especially works really well if you're playing with somebody who really enjoys doing diaries or bullet journals or things like that, because you tend to get to learn their emotions and you can find it very meditative to get out some of those emotions that you have inside of you. And that is the point of the game/activity that this is. And that's the reason why we think that it might make a good gift for someone, because it is such a lovely production, but it's usually a bit more expensive than I want from a game like this. But for a gift, I think it works really well. Our 2-player non-import recommendation is Aeon's End Legacy. Aeon's End is a very successful board game franchise/series that works as a boss battler. If you don't know what that is, it means that you will be each round facing up against a giant boss, and in this case, their minions. And you need to A, protect yourself, because if you die, then you lose. But you also need to protect your village, because if the village dies, well, then you lose. Since it is a legacy game, I don't want to tell that much more than that, but I will tell you that it is a great journey as you watch your hero grow up and grow more powerful, as well as it is replayable after the campaign is over. Aeon's End does tend to be more on the difficult side of these legacy games, but if you're looking for a campaign game to play with somebody and experience together, especially if there's somebody who already likes video games, then I cannot recommend Aeon's End Legacy enough. Next, let's move on to our family game recommendations, and our import recommendation is Come Sail Away. Come Sail Away is the new big box game from Sashi and Sashi. In fact, it's the biggest box yet. You'll be trying to get passengers to the right room, some of which need 3 of the same color, or pairs of different colors, or 4 different colors into them, and some of them give you bonuses to help you out on the luggage track that'll give you additional rooms and bonus points. But you'll also be trying to finish some rooms quicker than others for bonus points, all while trying to maintain a balance, because If you finish one of these rooms, that room is no longer available, and it might mean that you have some disgruntled customers that can't be put where they need to be put, and you lose points for that. Overall, it's an easy to teach game that gives you those brain birdie moments while not being overtaxing or causing analysis paralysis, which is something that we really enjoy in family style games. We also love the art and production of this. Sashi and Sashi always do a great job of that. And so if you're looking for a family entry into getting into Sashi and Sashi, then we can't recommend Come Sail Away enough. Our family game non-import recommendation is yet another legacy game. This is the last one, I promise, and it's Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated. Clank is, again, another really popular board game franchise, and this is their legacy campaign style game in which you'll be working as a company, Acquisitions Incorporated, which, according to the Dice Tower, is a penny arcade RPG game I don't know anything about. And that's important because you actually don't need to know anything about it to appreciate this game or the humor that's also in this game. Again, since it's legacy, I don't want to give away too much, but you will be working competitively because ultimately you do want a successful company, but you want to be the very best employee in that company, right? Definitely. Again, like Eon's End earlier, you can replay this after you're done, and in fact, Clank Legacy already has expansions out so that you can imbue more character and variety into the game. Next is our party game recommendations, and our import recommendation is Tumblin' Dice, which some of you might not even need to import because there are multiple variations of this game. The standard thing is that this is a wooden board in which you'll be having a dice on the top of the board and then you'll be flicking it downwards. The further down the stairs you go, the more points you get, but the more risk you run of flicking it off the board, in which case you get 0 points. Tumblin' Dice is one of those games that when you see it on the table, it's hard not to just want to try it once. Okay, maybe twice, because the first time was just, I'm a little bit rusty, or I don't know, now I get it, I'll be good at it. Oh, no, maybe I need a third time. And sometimes that's just what we do. We will leave it at the table or the coffee table, and we'll be playing a game over there, and we'll have it on the coffee table over here, and people will just walk over, give it a flick, give it a try, and have it be that. It gets really popular in Japan around the holidays, and now that Jelly Jelly Games has their own version of it, we thought it would be worth recommending to you to take a look and see if it's something that you might enjoy this holiday season. Next, our party non-import recommendation is kind of two, because we had one and then we found out that some places have it available and some places don't. So if you want a good social deduction game, we do recommend Feed the Kraken, especially the deluxe edition, if you can get it and it's available in your country, because it is a great social deduction game in which you're playing pirates. But for most of you, I don't think it's going to be available, so our recommendation is going to be Captain Sonar and any of the expansions that interest you. Captain Sonar is a fantastic team party game in which you'll be playing 4-on-4 most of the time, or 3-on-3, and you'll be playing as submarine teams. Now you'll be trying to sink each other, and each player on the team has a different job. Each team will have a captain that'll be directing the ship. Another one will be working the radars. Another one will be listening in to try to hear and intercept the other team's communications. And all the while you're sitting face to face and just going crazy. It is absolute chaos, but absolute fun, because you're going to be sitting there trying to balance between trying to defend yourself and trying to make sure the other team doesn't find you, with having to go on the attack. Figure out when it is that you're ready and you think you know where the other team is, and fire the missiles. There's hardly a game out there that with 8 players I prefer than this. And if I can recommend a game for you, if you're going to have 6 or 8 people this holiday season, I really can't recommend Captain Sonar enough. Our next section is the casual game section, and our casual import recommendation is Stone Garden. Stone Garden continues to be one of the most popular games that people buy when they go to Japan, and with good reason. Stone Garden works on the virtue system, in which you'll be drawing a tile off the pile to try to recreate your personal famous Zen garden. You can give it away if you don't like the tile and gain virtue, or you can steal somebody else's tile that they drew but they actually want, but you can just choose to steal it from them by giving away virtue. Overall, it's a game in which you are playing for points, but a lot of time when we play the game, people forego the points and just want to make the most aesthetically pleasing garden. It's rare that a game does that the theme is so present and the production so beautiful that people will forego winning just to make the best looking Zen garden. But that's exactly what happens here, and is why it gets recommended as a holiday gift guide option. Our non-import recommendation is certainly the opposite emotion of that, and it is Detective City of Angels. Detective City of Angels has everyone but one player acting as police officers, solving a variety of cases. The other player will be playing all the witnesses that the police officers will be interrogating that might not be so forthcoming with the, shall we say, most accurate information. With the variety of cases that there is in the box and just the interesting experience that this game offers that is unlike any other detective game out there, we think Detective City of Angels is a phenomenal game to try out at least once. And finally, we are down to our strategy picks for the day, and our import recommendation is Amalfi Renaissance. I know that the theme isn't that fantastic. It's trading in the Mediterranean, and it's also worker placement, another thing that you've seen before. But the interesting hook to this game is that your workers also act as your resources, so you actually have to choose between what is more beneficial to use them as. Amalfi Renaissance also has an absolutely lovely production, which is probably the reason that it falls in this price range. But for the strategy and depth that this game offers, we can't really fault it for that, and we think it is worth the price. Our final recommendation today, the strategy non-import recommendation, is Cosmic Frog, a game that is very hard to describe because you have to describe some set collections, some combat, and some galaxy devouring frogs. Yes, that's a sentence I never thought that I would speak. It's a game that is unlike anything else that I've played. This game is just straight up weird and very hard to describe, but now that it is back in stock and more available, as well as it has the expansion out that adds even more weirdness because clearly that's what this game needed, I think that it is worth taking a look at if your game collection needs a little bit of some funking up. And don't just take our word for it, it was So Very Wrong About Games Game of the Year a couple years ago, so it has some trusted reviewers saying that this game is pretty darn good, even though it's also pretty darn weird. Well, that's going to be it for today. Hopefully you are enjoying our holiday gift guide so far. If you are, hit the subscribe button and like all of our videos, as well as keep following and commenting on all of our stuff across our platforms, as it gets you into our giveaways each time you do that. Thank you so much for watching today. ありがとうございました. Until next time, じゃあね.